All right, so I talk to my wife, which I do pretty much every morning. Um, Friday mornings can be difficult, but I've been doing that for uh, for a while now, maybe less than a year, and we've been married since 2008. So it's a good practice. And during our talk, I mentioned how I had tried my amateur PR attempt to encourage people to have the faith and doubt of a mustard seed with regard to, Jason Delport's convective heat engine. And I haven't. Yeah, it's just how does that go? We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But my wife mentioned kiss the ground, and so I went to kissthegroundmovie.com and found the people who put on the movie, and then found their PR person, and then sent an email to their PR person because I'm not good at PR, public relations. And so, I practice having the faith and the doubt of a mustard seed uh, that this path might work. You could imagine like roots reaching out, and then a root might bump up against a boulder, and it can't go that path, and so maybe it starts turning. And so I like to have these roots exploring with the faith, of a mustard seed and the doubt of a mustard seed. And I talked to my wife about my narcissism. I've been talking about my narcissism, my autism, and my narcissism. And so, people who, how do I know I've had narcissism? I would say the main reason I know is because I have experienced healing. I've had my eyes opened and my heart healed. And that's not to say that my eyes can't be opened more and my heart can't be healed more. And so from the perspective of having my eyes opened and my heart healed, I can now look back with perspective. And it's like, well, where did the narcissism come from? Well, it came from, I think it was intergenerational. Part of it was intergenerational. My great-grandfather died when my grandfather was younger than 1 year old. My grandmother died when my father was, I think, 12 or 13. And my mom died before I turned 3 years old. So these kinds of things will shape an environment. And what happens to people, and what happened to me, is an experience of having a loving relationship, a very loving relationship, and then having that taken away, and then experiencing a deep pain. And then there can be a coping mechanism in the face of the deep pain, in which we try to practice turning something off inside of ourselves so that we don't experience that pain again. And so what we do is we stop caring and loving others in order to protect ourselves. And this can happen. I had a dog die when I was a kid, and I remember feeling the pain and then not wanting to feel that pain again. And I can remember, feeling betrayed by someone that I cared for and loved, and not wanting to feel that pain again. And so, becoming someone who is very self-centered and who did not love others and did not care for others as a coping mechanism. And then that can be part of what gets diagnosed as narcissism, is a lack of empathy, a lack of care, a lack of love. And this is how it can come about. And then it can also come about, there's another thing that can happen. What happens to this intergenerational experience of loss? Well, you can see a little bit of that, but then there can also be the receiving end of someone who has learned as a coping mechanism not to love and care deeply. And so my father could be someone who did not try to know me, did not try to give much attention to me and give me much time and attention and love and care. And I don't blame him for it at all. I have no resentment. I love my father. He's very smart, and under the circumstances he was in, he did good work. But as a result, I became someone who was an attention seeker. I did not love my neighbor as myself. When my neighbor received their successes, I would have jealousy. I would want that success because I was an attention seeker. And when my neighbor experienced failures, I would, in this attention economy, I would feel good about that. I can say that I never enjoyed hurting people's feelings, and I always wanted people to like me. And so, I ended up with a Messiah complex, delusions of the highest grandeur, wanting to be the Messiah, praying and having prayers answered and starting to flirt with maybe being special and looking around, making good grades and doing well in sports, and then, being able to cut off parts of myself which did not, I could turn a blind eye. I could turn my back on the parts of myself which would perhaps reveal that I'm not the Messiah. And so I suspected I might be the Messiah ever since I was like 17 years old. I told Jesus to leave me alone. I got this. I thought I was better than Jesus. And so, I think I was a narcissist, and I think I still wrestle with a self-centeredness and a conditioning, habits and routines over the course of decades. But why am I telling you this? Well, I think there are a lot of people who are narcissistic. I think there are a lot of people who have these tendencies who, when it gets down to it, we end up getting hurt, and we end up not receiving a lot of attention and love and care, and then it shapes us into certain kinds of people and in different kinds of people. And one of the kinds are the kinds like me. And so, how did it change? How do you... It took so much, it took something special. And I think eventually I received care, I received attention and love, and I received it from my wife. But there's something about my wife's brain that's different than my brain, and it's maybe the male brain and the female brain are different. And so I received the love and attention from my wife, which I always craved. But I had never received love and attention from a man, from a father, and so that's, I would say that, Chad, the girl dad, he's got a girl on the way, and we pray she'll be cared for and protected, and that Chad will have the opportunity to learn from that little girl and to practice being a father and a husband. But Chad, he met with me at 4 a.m. almost every weekday for a year. not realizing what he was doing when he did it, but he was able to show me care and love and attention. And I had never experienced that before. And it changed me. It softened my heart. And so when Jesus talks about the seed being thrown on the wayside and thrown among the thorns and in the shallow soil and on fertile soil, what Chad was able to do is what I think a mom and a dad is able to do for children, is to help cultivate the soil so that a person can actually receive the seed which is the good news. And it has to do with love, care, and attention. And so, how do we, what is this going out and harvesting? You get people who plow the field and prepare the soil, and you have people who spread the seed, the good news, and then you have people who come in and reap the harvest, and you've got these metaphors. And I think some people get focused on one aspect of the growing the kingdom. And, preparing the soil is very important. And Chad didn't know he was doing it. And he invested a lot of time and energy for his own personal reasons, but I guess by accident, or God's, all credit to God, right? Not my own, and Chad would say not his own. A happy accident happened, a miracle, God's will, whatever you want to call it, but it was not my own doing. I was then able to make Jesus my king, practice making Jesus my king. And it is a practice, especially when you've been your own king for your entire life. And so there's this faith and works debate. And my wife were talking about how you give your testimony, and it's like, the way we give our testimony is, we think about the audience and who we're talking to, and we think about the time we have available, and then we think about our goal. And the goal is to help the other person to, really, it's nice to be able to know where the other person has been and what they've experienced, and to be able to help them on their path towards healing and seeing the transformation. So my audience are people like me who are kind of a smart, analytical mind, and combined with narcissistic tendencies, with some kinds of lacking need for healing. And all I would ask is that you have the faith and doubt of a mustard seed. All of you narcissists out there, all of you people who maybe you've been called a narcissist, you've been fortunate enough to be called a narcissist, and then you rejected it, like I did. I got called a narcissist. Some people who didn't know me well even suspected I might be a psychopath. And what's the difference between a narcissist and a psychopath? We could go into it, but have a little doubt. Maybe you are a narcissist. Maybe you do lack love for others. Maybe there is a love that you could have, that once you experienced it, you would then have the eyes to see. It's like, oh, I was broken. For the narcissist, we don't believe we are sinners. We don't believe we have any sin. We don't believe we make any mistakes. We end up justifying it one way or another, being very smart and if you're a smart narcissist. I don't know if there's such thing as a dumb narcissist. Yeah. But yeah, have the doubt of a mustard seed that you are narcissistic, and then have the faith of a mustard seed that if you practiced making Jesus your king, you could be transformed. And as a narcissist, that actually didn't work. You actually have, you have to be a narcissist who wants to participate in something grand, and that's the way it was for me. I was like, I want to participate in something grand. I was seeking grandeur and seeking attention, and then I had the faith of a mustard seed that maybe Jesus and making Jesus my king would allow me to participate in something grand. Still not thinking I was broken, still not thinking I was a sinner, just being able to try and be honest with myself that I wasn't Jesus, and that maybe this practicing making Jesus king would bear good fruit. And I didn't expect to be changed. I expected to be able to help change others. So it wasn't even October 12th, 2023, it wasn't that I thought that I would be changed and transformed. I thought that I would be able to participate in this thing that potentially changed others who were sinners, because I wasn't a sinner. But I was willing to participate in that because I had never changed anybody. I had never transformed anyone, and I'm observing testimony and having the faith of a mustard seed that maybe this works. Maybe people can be transformed. And then I got serious about, who is Jesus? Let's ignore Paul and James and John, and let's ignore David and Moses. Let's ignore everyone else, and let's try to understand Jesus. And to start off with, let's just focus on the synoptic gospels. Let's ignore John, and you just start trying to dig deep, trying to explore the meaning of words, how the Greek was interpreted, trying to understand who Jesus is, and how all of these, trying to understand his mission. What's he all about? How can I get on mission? How can I understand who Jesus is and serve him? And then I start noticing, there's things in me that Jesus would not approve of. And then I start realizing, shit, I don't know what to do about this thing that's in me that Jesus does not approve of. There were things in me that I thought I was fine, because when I was king and I was perfect, it must have been fine. I was my own standard of measurement. But now I'm treating Jesus as king, and it's like, oh no, so you're telling me that I have to love my neighbor as myself? I have to feel joy for my neighbor's success? But I don't feel joy for my neighbor's success. Why don't I? Oh, it's like I actually have resentment about these people and their success. And then I have to realize, this isn't good. This isn't something that my king wants in me. And then I experienced some miracles, people. I prayed. I realized it was not what my king wanted. I realized that I did not know how to get rid of it, and I prayed, Jesus, help me. Help me with this thing that you say is bad, that I see that I can't get rid of on my own. And so this is the way of having the faith of a mustard seed and the doubt of a mustard seed, and trying to pivot and live and grow and adapt. It's the way. It's like a tree with roots, or a plant with roots and seeds and soil. I've experienced it in my own life. I have the faith that it can be experienced as a community, and I've seen some good fruit there in my relationship with my wife and my children, and my relationship with people in my community. So it's it's only been a year, and maybe when I decided to practice making Jesus my king, maybe it was the sperm and the egg, and I was an unborn Christian. um, so I'm all new to this. It's nice being new, because maybe people will have a little bit more mercy, a little more forgiveness as I approach everything slowly, carefully, methodically, analytically, and just witness it grow. And maybe even my testimony can be helpful for others who have their dogmas, where they can say, wow, Gavin, just the faith of a mustard seed, the doubt of a mustard seed, slowly transforming and seeing more and being healed more. I'll go slow. And maybe all the people with their dogma get to practice being humbled, having more humility. Well, this one is as I still wrestle with narcissism, and so I'm tempted to, for example, I've been tempted to think, Paul was an apostle. It's like, am I an apostle to the rich men? Am I an apostle to the narcissistic, to a small little group of people like me? And the thing is about that is just, it's quite the investment for the narcissist to accept an invitation to, for example, pray with someone like Chad at 4 a.m. because you wake up at 4 a.m. or 3:45 and say, oh man, I'm tired, I do not want to do this. It's an investment. And then when you're going to bed at night, it's like, man, I'm tired, and my wife is upset because I'm not hanging out with her. And it's like, but it was all worth it. And so it's like, really, I get to practice approaching people and being willing to invest in a person. And maybe it's being willing to invest in a man who maybe did not receive a lot of time and attention because of generational stuff. And maybe they did not receive that time and attention and care, and maybe they got hurt along the way, and maybe there's an opportunity for, each of us, people like me, and I would say even all Christians. So, for example, Christian men, to find others who had to wrestle with similar things and invite them into a relationship. And I know that. So yeah, if you think that you are super special and that you have not sinned and you are not a sinner, and you think that you deserve power and influence, and you deserve attention, and if you get jealous at other people's success, and yeah, if you're like that, all I can tell you is welcome to the club. And if you want to, and I'm inviting you. It might be hard for you to just enter into the comments, right? So how do you get in touch with me? Maybe anonymously. I don't know. My email address is this is my email address for those people who don't think they're sinners, who think that they are special, and who get jealous at other people's success. If you can just have a little bit of the faith of a mustard seed and the doubt of a mustard seed, I make them, for the narcissist, let's combine those two together. Shoot me an email, gavinpalmer1984@gmail.com. All right. I hope to hear from you. The people with messiah complexes, the people who get jealous at other people's success, the people who think they have no sin, people who don't think there's any brokenness in them, people who think they're doing just fine. I know how it is. So, if you're curious that maybe there's a better way of being that can be better for you and everyone around you, if you have just the doubt of a mustard seed and the faith of a mustard seed, send me an email. GAVINPALMER1984 @gmail.com. I hope to hear from you.